Hey friends, happy Monday, I think it is. I wanted to share a piece of my story that I don't share that frequently. There's so many pieces, right? Because today I launched my Who Hijacked My Hormones Hormonal Balance Workshop for the month of April, and I'm very excited about it, but I wanted to kind of share with you guys an inside scoop as to why. Who am I to teach a group of people about hormonal balance? I am not an endocrinologist. I am not a doctor, but I do have experience in this area, and bad ones. Most people look at me now and know like I'm a health nut and I'm full of energy and vibrant and joyful and passionate about what I do, and I consider myself a professional in the health and wellness industry. And hey Margie, so most of you have no idea how sick I used to be. I was going through boxes of books, and I came across a journal the other day from 2010, and it was so sad to me, like what I was writing out. And my personality has always been to be optimistic, but I was just in such a sick and desperate place, really. I didn't think I would ever be healthy or normal ever again. So I wanted to share some glimpses of that with you, and what I've gone through and what I've learned. Because without the struggles and the pain that I've been through, then it never would have really sparked interest in me to study more about our endocrine system and hormonal balance and how it's all interconnected. So I would say that it started at the end of high school going into college. I was an avid softball player. I played like 7 days a week on different travel teams. I was on a junior Olympic softball team, and I was a pitcher. I loved the pressure, and I just thrived off of it. And then I had surgery my senior year on my shoulder, unfortunately, and I walked on to a four-year school, Point Loma Nazarene, whoop whoop, and played there. And it was incredibly stressful. And what started happening during that time, it was probably right around the end of high school, end of my senior year, going into college, I started getting really bad digestive issues, and I completely stopped having my period. And, you know, for a 17, 18-year-old girl, that's not normal. But I knew that as an athlete who was very active, you know, it was common. So I didn't really do anything about it. And that went on for over a year. And I finally went to the doctor, and when my lab work came back, I remember the doctor walked in. Remind you, I'm at this point, I think I was 19 at this point. She's like, honey, you have the hormone levels of a 55-year-old woman. I'm like, well, why? That's weird. And her recommendation was like, okay, well, all we need to do is put you on some hormones. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, we're just going to put you on birth control. Well, I don't need birth control. But that's what we're going to do to fix the problem. And it never really made sense to me. Why would I put synthetic chemicals in my body to fix something? I didn't know all the things I know now, but it just didn't make sense to me. Mind you, I was a nursing school student. I was in my first year of my nursing program to get my bachelor's, and I trusted every medical professional because that's kind of how we're raised, right? So trust doctors, that's what they do. And so I took it, and it did artificially start my cycles, but I felt horrible. Not only did my anxiety that I struggled with increase significantly, but my gut health went like tanked, and it was already not good. And I was tired all the time. I felt bloated all the time. And I was like, this stuff sucks. Like, this is so stupid. I think I don't remember. I gained some weight. But I was on it for like a year and a half. And then I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And so I went off of it, and then it stopped. My cycle stopped again. I was kind of on and off during that period. And then I remember I spoke with my chiropractor. Shout out to Tamara Lund if you're local. She's amazing. And she really helped me understand how birth control, artificial hormone replacement works. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, this is not ever going to cure my imbalance that I have. That is not how it works. If anything, it's going to it's tricking my body, and it's going to take my body much longer to balance out. And so I went off of it, immediately felt better. But it was another probably 4 or 5 years, until I learned enough to naturally help my body balance out. And again, had no idea then what I know now about everything being so interconnected. I had no idea how progesterone and estrogen were related, what their roles were, how it interacts with our adrenal glands and thyroids and stress and our digestive system. I know that all now, but it was never explained to me, and so I felt like my hormone world in my body was on its own, like isolated, and I had to like treat that. But realistically, I needed to get behind what was causing those low progesterone and estrogen levels instead of trying to stimulate my body to do something that it wasn't balanced out to do. Hopefully that makes sense. And so now that's what I love teaching, and why I'm so passionate about it is because this information is not out there. And this is not at all to knock doctors and physicians, because you guys are amazing and you save so many lives. But they don't study, most of them do not study the area that I have studied in preventative medicine, Chinese medicine, herbology, all that kind of stuff, and looked at the whole body in a different perspective. And so that was my first, I guess, experience, right? And then most of you know that I was married previously. I got married right out of college. I was married for 4.5 years, and during that time, we tried to get pregnant for a very long time. I think it was about I almost said an hour and a half, a year and a half or two, and never could get pregnant. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Thank the Lord Almighty that He intervened and I didn't have kids with my previous husband. But I knew that part of that was because of a hormone imbalance. And doctors told me you probably won't be able to get pregnant without medication. And, you know, that's so hard to hear. And I know so many women struggle with that. But they have no idea why. And I'm not saying that I know everything at all. But I will say that I have learned a lot, and I know that there is a huge connection with hormone imbalance and infertility. I mean, it just makes sense to know that hormones have a huge influence in your fertility for men and women. And so after, side note, obviously I'm very fertile now. When I ended up 8 weeks pregnant on my wedding day. So things balance out, but I remember just being I had no answers and I didn't know what to do. And now I have tools to help women who are in that situation or thinking about getting pregnant. It really does, our hormonal balance not only influences our ability to get pregnant, but how we feel, how we carry our babies, how like the risk of miscarriage, it does play a role. And that leads me to my third experience. Not to say that, so I did have a miscarriage between my boys, and I've shared publicly about it. I do have a blog post about it. It was very healing for me to write, and it's really helped a lot of other women who've been through miscarriage or going through it. So if you do have, if you want, just let me know and I can send you the link to it. But between our boys, who are very close in age, right? They're 2 years apart. We were pregnant with another baby, and I just remember feeling really off. My firstborn was not even a year yet when we got pregnant again, and I think I maybe had like one period or something between, but that was really hard. Like, that was so rough. And of course you do all the research, like, you feel like it was you, and I think it's close to 50% of women have miscarriages now, which is crazy. And there's something to be said for, there's a lot going on that can influence that, including our environmental toxins, but hormones have to have an influence on that as well. And one of the things is low progesterone. If you break down the word progesterone, it's gestation, pro-pregnancy. When we have low progesterone levels, then it is difficult for pregnancy to continue to be viable. It's why many doctors, to prevent miscarriage, if you've already had one, will prescribe progesterone cream. And I didn't know that until I went through it. But one of the most common hormonal imbalances in many of the women I work with is an imbalance of progesterone and estrogen, and they have low progesterone and elevated estrogen levels. This is what I'm teaching about this month, and I like nerd out on this stuff because it's so powerful. It's complex, but it's simple at the same time. And if just more people could know about this, I'm not kidding you guys, it would save a lot of marriages. I firmly believe that. If more women were balanced and were feeling confident and were able to, elevated estrogen levels have everything to do with our ability to lose weight. Like if we were feeling confident and balanced hormonally, we weren't like batshit crazy every time of the month, obviously many husbands would appreciate that, right? But dudes, you're in the same category because you also have hormones. And for a lot of guys, they're walking around with elevated estrogen levels as well because of the chemicals we're putting on our skin that have what are called xenoestrogens, which mimic estrogen in the body. So statistically, if you look over the years, testosterone has tanked and estrogen in men has actually increased. And again, that goes back to environmental toxins, the food that you're putting in your mouth, not being active. Every time you work out, it's boosting your testosterone. So if you're a guy who doesn't exercise, your testosterone is going to be lower. What happens when a man doesn't have healthy testosterone levels? Well, their drive tanks. Their drive for anything, their libido, as well as their drive in life. And a lot of times when a man is feeling that way, that can easily be perceived as a problem in their marriage. I've seen it happen so many times. So if both the husband and wife are balanced, you can see how that can be a great thing for a marriage. Oh man. So anyways, in the hormone workshop that I'm teaching this month, that is throughout the month of April, I am breaking down adrenal health, which is a huge deal for our energy, and I swear every single one of you probably is struggling with it. Thyroid imbalance, why it's happening, its relationship to the adrenals, and then the third week will be about progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen balance, how they get thrown off, what are the signs and symptoms, and every single one of these categories I'm also sharing the supplements that I use to help balance out these areas. And then the fourth week is going to be on common diagnoses with hormone imbalance, such as endometriosis, PCOS, infertility. Sorry, somebody just called me from Hawaii. Interesting. So anyways, that's what I'm teaching in this workshop. It is free for my entire team, any of my current clients or coaches. What I love most about what I'm able to do now as a health coach is I am mentoring other health coaches to learn this stuff and to help more people. Because like I said in the beginning, when you go to a specialist or you go to a doctor to learn about this stuff, honestly, they just don't have that information. And they studied so long to learn medication and surgery, which saves so many lives, but they don't know this side of things. And so the more people I can train to help more people, the more collectively, the more people we can help. And my mission and my business and my company that I run is to help as many people as possible. So if either one, if you're someone who's like, man, I really need this information, I really want to know all this stuff, let me know. And if you want nothing to do with the Beachbody side of my business, that's fine. You can actually pay to be a part of this workshop. And if you're like, you know what, I'd love to try also what you're doing with your fitness and nutrition coaching, it's included with your membership. And then if you're someone who's like, you know, I really have a passion for helping people, this fascinates me, I'd love to learn from you, then also let me know, because I would really love to mentor you and teach you all that I know in this area, and there's several other areas that I'm passionate about. But I'd love to chat with you. Ashley, reach out to me and we can chat privately. All right, you guys, have a great night, and I hope this was helpful. Maybe just a little bit. Bye.